Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Wednesdays wherever across this great land or this great country you may be. Much to get to today. I appreciate all of you spending your afternoon here with me. Going to be live in a little bit on Lock It In. We bounced back after being bumped for World Series Game 3 yesterday. Appreciate all of you who gave me good feedback. I did the Tucker Carlson show last night, and I did the Laura Ingraham show on Friday. Lots of feedback from those hits, obviously in front of massive audiences, talking about LeBron and China, the NBA and China. Much to get to today, but we begin. Let me tell you this off the top, actually. Tomorrow, I am going to be the guest for my buddy Chad Withrow's podcast, and we're doing it at my local bar that I own a part of downtown, the Downtown Sporting Club on Broadway, right downtown. So you can come hang out. You can watch us tape that podcast live. You can have a couple of beers, and then Thursday Night Football will be starting right after that. 411 Broadway. If you happen to be downtown for some reason in Nashville, maybe you're in for a long weekend, whatever else is going on there, give you an opportunity to go hang out there. But we begin with the biggest news, which is Jalen Ramsey has been traded. This news came down yesterday evening. Jalen Ramsey traded for 2 first-round picks effectively in 2020 and 2021 to the LA Rams, who have moved on from Marcus Peters, and they had to put Aqib Talib on the injured reserve list. This standing alone is a big story because I've told you before, I believe that Jalen Ramsey is one of the 5 biggest and best Jacksonville Jaguar players of all time. Those 5, Tony Boselli, Mark Brunell, Maurice Jones-Drew, Fred Taylor, and Jalen Ramsey. And you can argue that Jalen Ramsey is the best of all of those. Particularly interesting associated with this, and it's kind of just a wild quirk, 2014, the number 3 overall pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Blake Bortles. 2015, the number 3 overall pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dante Fowler Jr. And then in 2016, the number 5 overall pick was Jalen Ramsey. All 3 of those top 5 picks, 2 3s and a 5, have all ended up with the Rams. Now, whose side of this deal do we like more in the immediate aftermath of it being announced? To me, the best play here, the best side, is the Jacksonville Jaguars because they never really had to pay Jalen Ramsey that much money, and they're going to get back 2 first-round picks, and I'm of the belief that the Rams are going to trend back down to average. They right now, the Rams, are in 3rd place. I don't think they have a very good chance of actually making the wild card right now if you look at how many good teams there are in the NFC. And so as a result, I think it's likely that this pick is going to be in the 17 or 18 range. If I were setting over-unders right now, I'd probably set it right around 18.5 of where this pick will end up in 2020. But look at all the money that the Rams are spending. They gave $112 million to Jared Goff, which is the most money that's ever been given to a quarterback in the history of football. They gave almost $15 million a year to Todd Gurley, and his career effectively seems to be over. They gave big money to Aaron Donald, and they gave big money to Brandon Crooks. All of those guys, if you throw them all together, are making a lot of money, and I think they're all trending down on some level, probably. And as a result, you know Jalen Ramsey is going to demand $16, $17, $18 million a year. He wants to be the highest paid corner in the league. And so, to me, I like the Jags move here better than I do the Jalen Ramsey trade for the Rams. I thought Ramsey made sense if you believed you were close to winning a championship. And I know the Rams were in the Super Bowl last year, but I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs this year. And I don't think they're that close to winning a championship. And I think they're mortgaging their future in the present to try to win right now. And I don't like that move. So, early read on this, I like Jacksonville's play better than I do the Rams' play. Also, this doesn't even consider how mercurial and difficult Jalen Ramsey can be. Imagine what he's going to be like when he gets that big contract, how much more of a difficulty he may be in the locker room. I just am not sold on this being a good move for the Rams, given where they are right now. Every week I tell you my top 5 and my bottom 5 teams in the NFL. Here are my top 5 teams after NFL Week 6 as we get ready to turn the page and go to NFL Week 7. Those teams in order. The Patriots are the best team in the NFL. I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, 6-0 New England Patriots are the best team in the NFL. Followed by the 49ers, who had an impressive win against the Rams, who we were just talking about. 20-7, they absolutely dominated the 49ers in the second spot. Third spot, hold on a sec. Third spot, I would go with the Saints. The Saints with Teddy Bridgewater have been a revelation this year to win 4 games after Drew Brees gets injured and be 5-1 like they are right now as they get ready for their game on the road against the Bears. I really am impressed with what Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints have managed defensively. Even before they get back Drew Brees, I've got the Saints as the number 3 overall team. In the 4 spot, I have got the Seahawks, and I appreciate all of the things that Russell Wilson has done. In fact, I believe that Russell Wilson right now has to be considered the number 1 overall candidate to win the MVP. Since the season has started, he's gone from 14-1 to plus 230. Russell Wilson, to me right now, should be the favorite to be the NFL MVP. What he has done with the Seahawks this year is nothing short of phenomenal. 5th best team, I have the Packers. If I have just outside of the top 5, the Houston Texans, who I believe are the 6th best team, and the Buffalo Bills I would have at the 7th best team. I've got the Chiefs all the way down at 8. So that is my top 8 best teams in the NFL right now. I think the Chiefs are going to lose tomorrow on the road against the Denver Broncos. All right, bottom 5. I've got the Cleveland Browns at 28. I also considered the Titans here. I considered the Chargers, but ultimately Baker Mayfield being the worst quarterback in the NFL is the reason why I have the Browns at 28 on the list of sadness here, the 5 worst teams in the NFL. I've got the Falcons at 29. I know it seems like not too long ago you were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, Falcon fans, but Dan Quinn is a dead coach walking. This defense is atrocious. I like the Falcons, unfortunately, at the 29th worst team in the NFL. Then the Redskins I've got at 30. The Bengals, who are perpetually at the bottom of every NFL team list, and the Dolphins, who are tanking at least for Tua. Their goal in mind here is pretty clear. So I've got them at 32. All right, Marcus Mariota has been benched. I think Marcus Mariota has not been good this year, okay? I'm not arguing that he's been great. I'm not arguing that he's been out of this world. I'm not arguing any of those things in favor of Marcus Mariota. But I believe he's a convenient scapegoat for general manager John Robinson and for head coach Mike Vrabel, neither one of whom has done very good in their jobs. The offensive line for the Titans is an abject failure. The idea that Roger Saffold got $40 million guaranteed is one of the worst things I've ever seen in terms of NFL contracts. This guy can't block me right now if I line up across from him. He's getting his quarterbacks killed. I don't think it matters whether it is Tannehill in or whether it is Marcus Mariota in. I think that Tannehill is going to end up getting injured. In fact, it wouldn't stun me at all if we had a situation like happened down at Jacksonville. In comes Ryan Tannehill. He immediately gets hit, and Mariota comes back in to take over after Tannehill gets injured. Mariota has not been great, but the offensive line is atrocious. Dion Lewis is one of the highest paid running backs in the league, and it makes no sense why he's there. Adam Humphries has not been able to be used effectively. Arthur Smith is in over his head. The offensive line coach is awful. If you go ahead and look at all of these evidentiary factors, I believe that Marcus Mariota is easily the scapegoat here, even though I'm not sure he ranks in the top 2 or 3 worst things going on with this offense right now. They can't run block. They can't pass block. I think you're going to see with Ryan Tannehill dropping back, he's going to get decked. He got sacked 4 times, playing a lot less snaps than Mariota did last weekend. He's not as mobile. And as a result, I think that, a good stat from last week, for instance, the Broncos had 5 sacks in their first 5 games, and then they sacked the Titans 7 times. There are lots of plays where the quarterback drops back to pass, particularly on third down and long, when he has absolutely no time to throw. And I don't think that's going to change with Tannehill under center. This is a offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith who wasn't ready for prime time, a head coach in Mike Vrabel who wasn't ready to be a head coach, and a overrated GM in John Robinson who has mostly failed in all of his free agent signings, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So Mariota has been benched. I don't think it's going to make that much difference. The Titans are 6-10. I think you look forward, it's intriguing to think about who might be in the market for quarterbacks. Certainly the Bengals are. Certainly the Dolphins are. Probably the Titans, probably the Bucs, I would think. But again, I think Marcus Mariota became the scapegoat for an offense that failed on many different levels, and he was the convenient scapegoat to cover for John Robinson and for Mike Vrabel not being good enough at all. Lots of good quarterbacks coming in next year when you think about potentially Tua, Joe Burrow, Herbert out of Oregon, potentially Jacob Eason, also Jake Fromm. There are a lot of guys who potentially will be a first-round quarterback, so we'll find out. Marcus Mariota, I wish him well if he gets to leave. I think this organization did not protect him. I don't think they gave him a good opportunity. This was not a situation like it was with Vince Young or like it was with Jake Locker, where he was clearly not able to play at a high level. Mariota has been capable of playing at a very high level, but this organization failed him on some level. I really do believe that. Last night I watched the Democratic debate. To me, Elizabeth Warren has become the clear favorite to be the nominee against Donald Trump. That is a bad decision, in my opinion, for who the Democrats should be nominating, because I think Elizabeth Warren is not going to appeal any better than Hillary Clinton did to voters in Wisconsin, to voters in Pennsylvania, to voters in Ohio, to voters in Michigan, and to voters in Minnesota. I keep saying it because other people want to make it more complicated than it actually is. And I got to give credit to Amy Klobuchar, I believe is how you pronounce her name, the senator from Minnesota, who essentially said this exact thing. The election's going to be decided in the Big Ten. So if you are picking a candidate, you need to pick a candidate who plays well in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and all of those states where this election is going to be decided. There's going to be a lot of talk about turnout and everything else, but ultimately, whoever wins those states will win the presidency in 2020. And I don't see Elizabeth Warren as being the best option there. Joe Biden, he doesn't speak well. He often makes no sense, but I still think Joe Biden is a better nominee in the Midwest than Elizabeth Warren is. I don't know how Mayor Pete would play, who is also kind of on the fringe top-tier candidates. I don't think Bernie would play that well, and I don't think there's any way after his heart attack that Bernie's going to get this nomination. So ultimately, I think this has turned into a Biden versus Warren battle as we move, 2 months out from voting, essentially, 2.5 months until votes actually start being cast. It's not going to be very long, 3.5 months, I guess, actually. So I didn't think there was any major waves, major shock waves, major changes of the trajectory of the campaign based on what we saw there. But to me, Elizabeth Warren, not a very good nominee, not a very good nominee at all for the Democrats. I don't think she'll run well. I think that Trump will be able to attack her in many of the same ways that he attacked Hillary Clinton. And while I think that she's stronger speaking-wise than the two other older guys with Bernie Sanders and with Joe Biden, I don't know why the Democratic Party has ended up with the candidates that it has. I don't think that there's a lot of sizzle there, and I think it's possible that Trump basically gets to run the same kind of campaign against Elizabeth Warren that he ran against Hillary Clinton, which could allow him to be elected in 2020. Finally, how about the Washington Nationals in the same year that Bryce Harper leaves for $300 million plus, finally winning a playoff series and advancing to the World Series? I went to college in D.C. I love watching the Nationals play when I go back to D.C., It is a lot of fun to root for that team, especially given all the playoff frustration that they've had since they have gotten there. In the year that Bryce Harper leaves, and on the day, I believe it today is his 27th birthday, Bryce Harper, for the Washington Nationals to be going to the World Series and for them to do it in the fashion that they did against the Cardinals. The Cardinals scored 10 runs against the Atlanta Braves in the top half of the first inning. They scored 6 runs in the next 36 innings against the Washington Nationals, who dominated them pitching-wise. I believe we're going to see the Houston Astros against the Washington Nationals. I think the Nationals are going to win it, but that is where we are headed in the universe of baseball. Props to the Nats, props to the fans of Washington, D.C. for their team advancing to the World Series. Love all of you. I got to get ready for my television show, Lock It In, be on in 40 minutes on FS1. Appreciate all of you hanging out and watching this show. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. My name is Clay Travis, and this has been Outkick the Show. See y'all. Thank you, Facebook. See you guys.